Section 9.2 is on a bunch of different topics. Sum and difference formulas, sum to product, product to sum. And what we're going to do today is kind of combine all of it into one little lesson. And we're going to take some time, obviously, to go through these. But I'm going to do some of the problems with you, and then you can look at your own assignment. And the presentation in class is going to be very similar to this. In fact, we'll probably do more in class, but I'm just going to get you started here if you're interested in this. So to start with, all these formulas you already have in your identities. Now, I'm using different symbols. It doesn't matter. It means the same thing. I think the one alpha and beta is what my sheet that I printed out for you or put online. On this sheet, it's theta and phi. Don't worry about it. Theta and phi is what the new book uses. Alpha and beta is what the old book, and gamma is what the old book uses. It's still the same thing. Okay, so we're going to look at number 1. And these are fun. Use the sum and difference formulas to find the exact value of each trig function. Now, if we recall, if you think about it, 5 pi over 12 is 75 degrees. Now, we know 60 and we know 90, but we don't know 75, the number in between it exactly. But we can actually find it using the sum or difference formula. So one of these, and this is sine, so one of these can be used. So we got to come up with what two angles do we know of that would give us 75, either by subtraction or addition. I think most people would choose 30 and 45, right? Or in this case, it'd be pi over 6 and pi over 4. So that's 75. So if we do that, then the formula, since it's addition, is sine 30 cosine 45 plus cosine 30 sine 45. Okay, that doesn't seem too hard. So the sine of 30 is a half. The cosine of 45 is rad 2 over 2. The cosine of 30 is rad 3 over 2. And the sine of 45 is rad 2 over 2. So the exact value of 5 pi over 12 is radical 2 over 4 plus radical 6 over 4, or rad 2 plus rad 6 all over 4. Now, if you struggle with multiplying fractions and adding or subtracting fractions, well, you got to get better at it. All we do is multiply the numerator and the denominator. So 1 times radical 2 is radical 2. Radical 3 times radical 2 is radical 6. And 2 times 2 is 4. And then when we add them, we cannot combine these two because they are not like radicands. So the exact value of 5 pi over 12, or 75 degrees, is radical 2 plus radical 6 all over 4. That's the exact value. It's kind of cool, isn't it? So that's how you're going to do 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 and 7. Okay? Now on 8 and 9, on A and B, we're using the exact same sum and difference formulas, but we're going backwards. We're giving you this. You have to work backwards and find what the angle is, okay? It's actually pretty easy in actuality. Okay, now, we're also going to look at another application. Find the exact value of each of the following under the given conditions. So we're going to find the sine of theta plus phi. We're going to find the cosine of theta plus phi. We're going to find the sine of theta minus phi and the tangent of theta minus phi. Okay, so the first thing we got to look at is this. The sine of theta is 3/5. And theta is between 0 and pi over 2. Okay? So that's our first angle, theta. So that means it's in the first quadrant. This is theta. We know that the sine is y over r, which makes the x be 4. Okay? Now phi, on the other hand, looks like it's in the fourth quadrant because it's negative pi over 2 to 0. And it says that the cosine is 2 rad 5 over 5. So that means, oops, I don't want 2 rad 5 over 5. I just want 2 rad 5, don't I? That's 2 radical 5, so the r is 5. Now we got to find y. Well, using the Pythagorean theorem, let's see, 2 rad 5 squared is 4 times 5, which is 20. So that looks like that's going to be negative radical 5. Okay? So that's phi. I can't make that phi very easy. I need a thinner pen here. Okay? So that's that angle. All right, now, go to A. It says the sine of theta plus phi is sine of theta plus phi, sine cosine plus cosine sine. So it would be sine theta cosine phi plus sine phi times cosine theta. Well, according to this, the sine of theta is 3 over 5, and the cosine of 5 is 2 radical 5 over 5, plus the sine of phi, which is, negative radical 5, sine of phi is over here, negative radical 5 over 5, times cosine of theta, which is 4 over 5. And then you just evaluate it. So multiply the numerator, that's 6 radical 5 over 25, plus minus 4 radical 5 over 25. Well, 6 minus 4 is 2 rad 5 over 25. So that's the sine of theta plus phi. So the cosine of theta plus phi is, what's cosine? Theta plus cosine minus sine. Okay. So cosine minus sine. Okay, let's see. The cosine of theta, 4/5, times the cosine of 5, 2 radical 5 over 5, minus sine theta times sine phi. Well, let's see. So that would be 8 radical 5 over 25 plus 3 radical 5 over 25, correct? Because negative times negative is positive. So that's 11 radical 5 over 25. So it's kind of cool how we can use these formulas, isn't it? So that's A and B. I'm going to let you do C and D for number 10. Now, express each product as a sum containing only sines and cosines. Well, this is sine 4 theta times sine 2 theta. So this is a product, and we're going to take it to a sum. So this is a product to sum formula. That's these right here. So that was sine. So we're going to use the sine formula. And the sine formula, let's see, sum the product. Sine is 1/2 cosine 4 theta minus 2 theta minus cosine 4 theta plus 2 theta. All I'm doing is using the notes, and I'm just plugging them in. The first angle is 4 theta, the second angle is 2 theta. And that would be 1/2 cosine 2 theta minus cosine 6 theta. And you're done. So this and this are the exact same thing. Even though the first one's multiplication and the second one is subtraction, those are the exact same values. Similarly, we can go sum or difference to a product, okay? So this is a sine minus sine. So you're going to find where it says sine minus sine, and you're going to plug in 2 sine, let's see, it says 4 theta minus 2 theta over 2, and then cosine 4 theta plus 2 theta over 2. So that's going to be 2 sine 2 theta over 2 cosine 6 theta over 2. And then you just simplify. 2 sine theta cosine 3 theta. That's the product. This is a sum, which is in fact subtraction. And we will discuss more of these in class accordingly.